Tom Thibideau out as the head coach of the New York Knicks. The breaking news we start our show with here on this Tuesday. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Hello to the YouTube world as well, where we stream live daily at the Team 980. We have a ton of other stuff coming up on the show today as well. Believe it or not, we did not plan to just have breaking news, and we in Washington, D.C. are not going to sit and spend our entire show on the head coach of the New York Knicks getting fired. We will talk about it in a moment, but there's plenty of other fun DC things on the show today, including a topic on our Vibe Check Tuesday that a lot of our shows talked about yesterday, the comments from Mike Florio, the reporting, if we want to call it that, from Mike Florio about the Commanders and their mindset going into the NFC Championship game. Also, Anthony, later on in the show, how about this for a guest lineup? One, talking about all the NBA stuff. David Aldridge, who better? He's only in the Hall of Fame for talking about the NBA. So we'll get to the NBA Finals. We'll talk about the Thibs news. And DA was a part of the NBA on TNT for 25 years. So we'll get his thoughts, some of his memories, maybe a story or two about his time with Turner. We told you about the crazy story yesterday where the Washington Spirit are losing their coach to another team that their owner owns. One of their star players, Casey Krueger, Olympic gold medalist, will join us coming up at, when were we talking with Casey? 6 o'clock, I believe?
Yes, sir.
It is today. So Casey at 6. Plus, this was so much fun this morning. There's a brand new film coming out on TJ Oshie and the relationship with his pops. It's called Coach. It's debuting at the DC Docs Film Festival next weekend. I got a chance to see the film, and this morning I talked to TJ and the two directors who are twins, Anthony, identical twins. I was like, can you guys say your name so the radio audience will be able to tell who's who? And they're like, we're identical twins. Good luck. So sorry about that. Nothing I can do there. But we have that interview for you coming up at 5:30. Really, really cool interview and a great film that is debuting next weekend. But, Anthony, we start with the news that Tom Thibideau has been fired by the New York Knicks, relieved of his duties, so to say. And my initial reaction to this, which should not be surprising to anyone who listened to the show yesterday, is this is an incredibly stupid thing by the New York Knicks to do. However, the more I have read and the more I have listened, I was actually in the middle of Zach Lowe's podcast from the weekend. It was like a 2-hour pod because they did a bunch of NBA Finals preview, and then he talked to Ian Begley from SNY in New York about the Knicks. And so I was listening to that as I went home yesterday and then finished it on my ride in today. And as I'm listening to it riding home yesterday, they're like, they're in an evaluation period. He hasn't been fired yet, which was still true at the time that I was listening to it. Nevertheless, the time that they recorded it Monday morning. And then obviously by the time I, get on my bike to ride into work today, they have made the move. And so it's very interesting to kind of listen to it through that lens of, hey, this could happen. And if it does happen, here's why. Here are some of the things they need to fix. But still, when I got off the bike today, I was like, I still think this is kind of a silly thing for them to do. I think that a lot of the problems that the Knicks have are things that they can fix without changing the other things that are going well. The more I've read about their season, including what is a pretty comprehensive piece in The Athletic that came out yesterday about their season. This is, again, before the news, right? Just putting in a context. The more, I guess I'll say, okay with it I am, the more I understand why the Knicks decided to move on from Tom Thibideau. Tom Thibideau puts a tremendous floor underneath you as a basketball team. Thibs is a guy who will play his starters a million minutes and demands you play really hard. He's tactically very sound defensively. And if you have your best players playing hard and playing good defense, then you're probably going to win a ton of basketball games, especially in the regular season. But morale may not always be amazing. And you're not going to develop other players because unless you can earn minutes, you're never getting experience to be on the floor. And in the modern NBA, where they don't practice ever because of the schedule being kind of goofy in the way that it's set up, where it's a lot of every other day as opposed to it used to be, hey, yeah, you have to play a back-to-back, but then you get 4 days off. So you'd play 2, get a day off, practice, easy, practice hard, then we'll go play another one, then we'll have 3 more days off. Like that schedule was actually better for a lot of reasons than the current one, even though the aims of why the current schedule is the way it is were good. So needless to say, like Thibs is a very, very, very good NBA coach, and that's kind of where I was yesterday. Was this guy is maybe not the top tier, but a high tier NBA coach who has gotten you some of your best results in a long time, who has the respect of the roster. Jalen Brunson saying after the season, absolutely, I want him back. And if you can find ways to make tweaks within what you just did, you're a couple of tweaks away. Shoot, you're Aaron Nesmith not losing his mind in game 1, or a goaltend call that was missed with 3 minutes to go in overtime, or away from game 1 of us having a game 7 to talk about last night. If not, the Knicks just having already won the series and the Knicks are in the NBA Finals against the Thunder. So the fact that you're that close, the question you have to ask if you're the Knicks is the stuff we're missing, are the things that we're missing with Tom Thibideau worth giving up the things that we have with Tom Thibideau? And ultimately, they decided the answer is yes. Why I think this might be the right decision. Might be. I don't really have a strong take either way. I know. God forbid we not have a strong take on something in this business. But why I can see both sides is the keep him side I just kind of laid out, right? He's very good at the job. You just made also massive roster moves before last season. And giving that another year in what is a pretty gettable Eastern Conference the way it's shaping up right now doesn't seem like the worst option. You rely on some continuity. The anti is, this is a team that, per reporting from The Athletic and others, had an extraordinarily high number of players-only meetings this year. There were fractures in the foundation that were visible. Guys like Mikal Bridges, who they traded not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 first-round picks for, having a pretty mediocre year. And ultimately, by the end of it, complaining publicly about the number of minutes the starters played as he led the NBA in minutes. How often do we hear guys complain about minutes because they're not getting enough? He's like, nah, man, too much. This too much. You have Karl Anthony Towns, who traditionally has been a problem defensively, not really playing that much better defensively, and it caused issues. And it was something that Thibs was not able to fix either in the locker room from a personality and personnel management standpoint, a human capital management standpoint, or, hey, man, you're this great tactical defensive coach. Find a way to make Cat a playable defender. Never could do it. Didn't work. He didn't have answers offensively because that's never been his side of the ball where he's been exceptional. It was just kind of let Jalen Brunson cook, and thankfully the heat was high enough for them to make the Eastern Conference Finals, but as that well dried up, and they didn't have any other options. The Towns-Brunson pick and roll that was supposed to be the centerpiece of what many people thought this team could be was basically non-existent. I read this stat in the Athletic piece that is absolutely crazy. It's either 4, 5, or 6. I'll say 6 because, actually, no, I'm pretty sure it was 5 in the 6 games. But I think the number was Brunson had 5 assists to Karl Anthony Towns in the entire Eastern Conference Finals. So you have your guy who handles the ball all the time and a guy who scored a fair amount, and they're never connecting to get on the same page and create baskets for each other. That's a problem. That's a coaching problem as much as it is a player problem. Unless the players are totally shaking off the coach all the time, in which case that's still a coaching problem because you need coaches that can connect with and get the best out of your players. And so ultimately, if the Knicks look at this and go, we think that Mikal Bridges can be better under a different coach. We think that some of the, Jalen Brunson, like anybody can have him be what he's been offensively. And we want someone that, while Thibs is a great defensive mind, We want someone who's a little less afraid to play some zone or junk it up or try some different matchups, try some different rotations. Someone who's going to play our young guys more in the regular season, who's going to preserve our vets for the postseason. We just want someone who we think this roster is really good. We want as much continuity as we can, but we think we can get more out of it. Then ultimately the Knicks have a responsibility to move on. To say, Tom was great. We did all we thought that he could do, but we think that there's more juice here if we squeeze a little bit harder, or if we maybe don't squeeze the same part of the other part of the lime has juice in it. Squeeze over there. And so I think actually where I've landed is this wasn't a stupid decision. It's not a silly thing that the Knicks have done. I do think the Knicks have a fundamental misunderstanding as an organization about what it means to have a good and winning culture. I think that was proven the second that they didn't find some way, hell or high water, to not include Dante DiVincenzo in the Towns trade. You have this incredible, excited moment where you have the 4 Villanova guys back together when you trade for Bridges. DiVincenzo's coming off being one of your best players in the playoffs, and you trade him. You don't even get to the start of the season with the 4 of them together to give it a shot. That seems silly. And so at the end of the day, the Knicks have a bunch of decisions to make. They could also blow up this roster. They are probably going to be mentioned around Kevin Durant. They're certainly going to sniff around other, the Giannis sweepstakes if that comes to pass. They've got some ammo, including the right salaries, good players that are on okay enough contracts. They do have some level of draft capital still, despite the big trade that they had, that they made for Bridges last year. But deciding that Thibs is not the right guy is an understandable decision. But that also means the bar for what you bring in is pretty high, because you were a couple of weird things happening away from the NBA Finals. And if all you got to do is get back here and have some bounces go your way to make the NBA Finals, how much do you really want to change in the first place? Apparently the Knicks said this, the coach. And so Thibs out after a couple years, including a Coach of the Year in 2020, 2021, and the best season the New York Knicks have had in decades, in a decade at least, with the 51 wins this regular season and a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. When we get back, a story that was floating around quite a bit yesterday, we get a chance to take a whack at it. And not only do we want to take a whack at it, we want to let you get your thoughts in as well at 301-230-0980. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk had some very interesting things to say about the Commanders going into the NFC Championship game that he found out, reported on over the weekend. We will touch on that next. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Again, we'll do more on the Tom Thibideau story, and we will obviously talk about the NBA Finals and much more with David Aldridge coming up at 5 o'clock today. Also, don't forget TJ Oshie talking about the brand new film Coach, about the relationship between him and his dad coming up, along with the directors of that film. They're going to join us at 5:30 today. But yesterday, this was kind of floating as a thing to talk about, and we didn't have time to do it, but it's something that popped up over the weekend. And Anthony, the website Pro Football Talk, the writer there, Mike Florio, also podcast host. Mike's been on the show. Mixed feelings about Mike. Says some wild stuff sometimes, man, but also he's a serious person. So I don't know what to do with that. Sometimes I'm like, you are not worth listening to at all. Other times I'm like, but you know enough that we need to not listen to you. Anyway, this is something Mike Florio says that he heard going into the NFC Championship game, and he said this on his show over the weekend.
The day of the NFC Championship, someone I know who is very well plugged in said the Commanders know they're going to get their asses kicked today, and they're just kind of bracing for it. And it's like, come on, man. I mean, no, I know people in the building, they know what's coming. And it's like, well, maybe they're just preparing for the worst. Like, no, they know that the Eagles are dramatically better than they are.
Honestly, man, I hate June. Why would he say this now? Is there more to this clip? This is what everyone was mad about?
Yeah.
Mike, can I scratch my head loud enough for, you think, was that loud enough?
No.
For the radio? No, people can't hear that. I was scratching my head. I could hear it, but it was my head. Tends to be how that works. Someone told me that someone told them. And Anthony? That's a round of applause for us for not doing that yesterday. Now, we got to figure out what we're going to do with the next half hour of our show. I guess, unless people are really steamed up about it. 301-230-0980. I walked in yesterday, and Russell was like, yeah, people really were into that, into the Florio thing. Got a lot of calls on it. Okay. Vibe Check Tuesday. 301-230-0980. How's this make you feel?
The day of the NFC Championship, someone I know who is very well plugged in said the Commanders know they're going to get their asses kicked today, and they're just kind of bracing for it. And it's like, come on, man. I mean, no, I know people in the building, they know what's coming. And it's like, well, maybe they're just preparing for the worst. Like, no, they know that the Eagles are dramatically better than they are.
See, the thing is, I'm glad I played it a second time, because you can know that another roster is better than you while still feeling like you can beat them. This is why football is what football is. Like, yes, there's a lot of elements to the game that appeal to a large number of people, including the fact that people get to smack the crap out of each other. And, there's some delight in watching Frankie Louvu decleat Malik Neighbors or whatever, right? There's certainly the tactical elements. Some people like it because they get to go get hammered at a game. Like, whatever the reason is, people like football. But the sporting reason why football is the best and NFL football is king is because on any given Sunday, in a way that's very different from basketball, let's say, anything could happen. Can the Wizards beat the Celtics? Sure. Jason Tatum, and pre-injury, whatever, right? This year's championship caliber Celtics, or could the Wizards beat the Thunder? They could, but who's the worst team in the NFL this past year?
The Titans.
I was like, who had the number one pick? The Titans. Who if we play 100 games somehow, Do the Titans beat the Eagles more often than the Wizards beat the Thunder? I think they do. Football's a weird game. Weird stuff happens, including the very game where the Commanders beat the Eagles. That was, while the Commanders were obviously a very good team, you would say, by the way the playoffs played out, they were the second best team in the NFC by the end of the season. They were down 21-0 and hadn't shown any signs of life until Jalen Hurts got hurt. And then Frankie Louvu baits Kenny Pickett into a pick. And then they score, and they score, and they score, and they score, and they score. And the Eagles can't do anything else offensively because Kenny Pickett's Kenny Pickett. So, like, things like that happen with frequency in football. The any given Sunday nature of it is great. So you can there is a Grand Canyon size cavern. Grand Canyon size. That's not the word I'm looking for. Grand Canyon sized chasm. Chasm, he said. CHASM. Ding, I'm not going to win the spelling bee. Between, yeah, their roster's better than us, and we know we're going to get our butts kicked. There's no way anybody, maybe the janitors, and if Dan Quinn found out it, he'd fire him and hire new janitors. There's no way in Dan Quinn's building, in Adam Peters' building, as competitive as those guys are, as much belief as that team had, that especially if 5 was on the field, they could be anybody, that they went into the NFC Championship game. But I guess people are fired up. We got some people on the phone. 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Any concern about the Commanders' mindset after you hear that, or you just go like, hey, Mike Florio sucks? 301-230-0980. Your calls on a Vibe Check Tuesday next. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. We're taking your calls on a Vibe Check Tuesday to get your reaction to Mike Florio saying this.
The day of the NFC Championship, someone I know who is very well plugged in said the Commanders know they're going to get their asses kicked today, and they're just kind of bracing for it. And it's like, come on, man. I mean, no, I know people in the building, they know what's coming. And it's like, well, maybe they're just preparing for the worst. Like, no, they know that the Eagles are dramatically better than they are.
You know what I think the funniest thing about this is, Anthony? Why this is so silly to me before we get to the phones, is Florio, if we called Mike and we're like, hey, you want to come talk about this thing? It's blown up. He'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. And he'd be like, well, I said that I didn't believe it. Then why'd you say it on the radio or your podcast or your TV show, whatever the hell Pro Football Talk is, your live stream? What if your reaction to this apparently plugged in person was, that's ridiculous. It's okay to not say it on the radio, which maybe there's more. That's a 26-second clip. That's certainly part of a longer conversation, and maybe we've done Florio a disservice in how we clipped it. I'm not unopen to that possibility, and I will admit I don't watch that show, and I have not seen the larger thing. Anthony, you put the clip in the folder, but it was pre-cut for you. You also did not go find this out, right?
No.
Text the producers chat. We need the original sinner. I'm kidding. You don't have to. Yeah. And Anthony's now fake typing furiously. But the whole thing about being a reporter, about being someone in media, like part of the skill set that you have is knowing that not everything that goes in your ears has to come out of your mouth. 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Let's go to Kurt. Kurt, thanks for calling. You're on the Hoffman Show.
Hey, how you doing, Craig?
I'm good, man.
I really think it's a whole lot of nothing, okay? I was irked by it because even though it was a long time ago, I went to college up in that area, and I know a lot of people in Philadelphia, okay? And the word out of Philly, okay, I was getting a lot of phone calls about it. I didn't know nothing about it. Okay, but people calling me, telling me that they heard that, the Commanders were just happy to be in the championship game, and they knew they had no chance to get to the Super Bowl. They were just ecstatic to be there. They knew they were going to get crushed, and they were actually afraid of the Eagles. So that's how it is, when the story gets embellished, it goes from ear to ear to ear, and then by the time it gets to Philly, okay, they have a totally different take on it, and it just kind of, it irked me over the fact that it was just a whole lot of nothing. I mean, what kind of professional athlete is going to play in an NFC championship game with an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl and feel they have no chance and are afraid and are just happy to be there knowing they're going no further than that? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's because
whether you feel their roster's better or not, you're still going to give your best effort and do what you have to do. And I felt they played, for the most part, they didn't play like the Chiefs played in the Super Bowl. I can tell you that much. Okay, they didn't get dominated like that. They basically had a lot of turnovers and a lot of things go their way. The defense was their defense. They weren't stopping nobody all year long anyway. So they played like they played. You know what I mean? And
totally.
Philly's a great team. I get it. But
right.
It just was ridiculous to me.
Kurt, thanks for the call. And the reason, by the way, it doesn't make any sense is because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. That's not who this team is. It's not who, how they're built. It's not what they're made of. Yeah, they played a poor game and that they turned the football over at the most inopportune times. But even, the final score, Anthony, I were texting about this yesterday a little bit, and you were like full fan mode upset because you're like, the final score wasn't even indicative of the game. And the idea that they thought they were going to get their butts kicked and then they did, yes, the final score of the NFC Championship game was heinously bad. That's going to look real bad in the history books. But if you watched it, that was a game deep into the second half. And then the Eckler fumble.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the third quarter, it was, I think, 34-23, or it was 31-23, one of those numbers. So the game was well within reach. And we were driving. If the Eckler fumble does not happen, that is an entirely different game. But and the thing is, before that, we fumbled 2 more times. So it's granted, you got to credit, the Eagles for forcing the turnovers, but the game was well within our hands. Down, 1 possession or 2 possession, driving late in the third quarter, and then the fourth quarter, it got a little out of hand because we were forcing. We had an interception by Jaden, which was a garbage time interception.
Right.
And they just capitalized off the Eckler fumble before scoring again. So that game, the final score does not tell the entire story of that game.
Yeah, you can either go at some point, if you're down by a certain amount, you can play for the score to look better, or you can go for it and know that it could go completely belly up. And that's what happened. They went for it, and it went belly up. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. Let's go to Tony in Silver Spring. Tony, thanks for calling. You're on the Hoffman Show.
Yeah, that's with Florio. I mean, Florio saying that as a joke, really. From other instances that he's done, I happen to know that he's prone to making grandiose, not even grandiose, but crazy statements like that. First of all, as a professional athlete, I mean, ain't no way in the hell anybody goes on the field in any game to lose. Hell, people don't do that in the JFL.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even play football. I played tennis. And I never thought that when I was playing, that's something you just don't do if you're competitive. So, I mean, it's really ridiculous. I mean, it's beyond ridiculous. So I'm really, my opinion of Florio is lowered quite a bit because of this.
Yeah, Tony, thanks for the call. And I think, it's funny you say they don't do this in tennis, right? I could imagine back in the day, if I'm a challenger in the in Wimbledon, and I'm just some wild card entrant, or even if I'm the 28th ranked player in the world, and I have a match against Roger Federer in Fed's prime at Wimbledon, or Rafael Nadal at the French Open, 2 places those guys seemingly never lost individually. I might take the court knowing the score. If I get out of there 6-3, 6-3, 6-3, man, I took 9 games off of Rafa at Roland Garros. Mwah. Mwah. Best day of my career. I don't want to get it 6-0, 6-0, 6-0'd. If I took a set off of Rafa, he didn't even sweep me. Amazing. Right? Now, if I'm in the semifinal, that's probably a different mentality. But I think that's a magical thing about the NFL, having lived the NFL as week to week as you can without playing, coaching, or being on a team. When you're on the beat and your entire life is being in that locker room, even if it's for an hour, the open locker room portion, but you talk to guys and you're, every question you're asked all the time, how you spend your professional life thinking is about the team's success. You find ways. And even now that I'm not on the beat, but I do the podcast with Logan and we play the kind of game plan game when we do our preview show every week, right? We think about every single week, how do the Commanders win? At some point, we take an objective step back and say, this is how it happens, and this is going to be pretty easy because they're facing the Titans, or this is going to be really hard because they're facing the Eagles. The needle that you have to thread, that eye is only so wide. But if by the end of every single week, I, in my chair, even on some of the bad teams that I covered, could tell you this is how they win this week, and sometimes you'd convince yourself that it was going to happen, and then you get, see 5 plays on Sunday, and you're like, oh, that's not going to happen. That's bad. How do you think it is if you're an active participant? And especially for players who have to put their bodies on the line like that, there's no room for doubt. So, yeah, it's a very silly thing. I get why people are upset. It's June or late May when I guess Florio said this. But we collectively as an industry, the media can do better than that. Because sometimes you hear things and you go, that's insane. And, if you're a reporter, you got to go double check and you ask more people. And if you find out the insane thing is true, then sometimes you're shams and you report that Luka Doncic has been traded. But on something like this, meh. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. 301-230-0980. We'll take more of your calls next. Coming up in 12-ish minutes, 5 o'clock, we will talk to David Aldridge, the Hall of Fame journalist, now a senior writer at The Athletic, of course, for years, the NBA on TNT. We'll get some memories, some stories from DA on that. TNT obviously shutting down after the Eastern Conference Finals. Amazon, NBC getting the NBA next year alongside ESPN. Also, we'll talk to DA about the news of the day that Tom Thibideau has been fired by the New York Knicks, and we'll preview the NBA Finals. So a good 20-minute block with David Aldridge coming up at 5 p.m. Right now, though, Anthony, we continue our hour of things people said on television about the Commanders that I'm kind of annoyed at. Yay! Excellent producing by you. Let's see if we can get Craig annoyed at things national people say about the Commanders. Next up, Damian Woody.
Jaden Daniels had a season the likes of which
on Get Up on ESPN. As you can tell, because he's being teed up by Mike Greenberg.
we have never seen before. He took his team all the way to the NFC Championship game. What would constitute a successful second season after that debut act, particularly with all the pieces they've added, Damian Woody?
Okay, that's a fair enough question. So far, by the way, often we prep. I listen to things that we're going to play before. Today, nope. I'm just like, we're just going to let it rip. Real thoughtful reaction live on the air. Is this the part where I'm about to get mad, Anthony?
Potentially.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels could have a better season, but the Washington Commanders might take a step back. I thought the Washington Commanders overachieved last year.
First, why does Mike Greenberg, like that is the most profound thing that's ever been said?
It's interesting.
Wow. Never thought about that one before.
Jaden Daniels was spectacular, no question about it. But if you look at the whole of the Washington Commanders, like really they shouldn't have been on the field with the Philadelphia Eagles last year. They actually might take a little bit of a step backwards. I think their defense is underwhelming, and some of these other NFC teams are on the come up. The Rams and some of these other teams. So Jaden Daniels could be better, but they might take a little bit of a step back.
Oh, boy. Sometimes I wonder, Anthony, if people watch the games. And not even just watch the games. Like, do they pay attention to just like, if Damian Woody played football in the NFL for a long time. He's very smart. I actually like Damian Woody a lot. I think I typically find him pretty insightful. I think when it comes to like breaking down online stuff, he's phenomenal. He was a part of some really excellent teams with the Patriots. So the good New York Jets teams with Rex Ryan that went to back-to-back AFC Championship games. Damian Woody knows more about football as an X's and O's game and may have forgotten more than I'll ever know. Who was the second best team in the NFC last year for the back half of the season behind Philadelphia who didn't lose except for one game? It was Washington. Washington, who beat Philadelphia in the one game and went undefeated down the stretch, closed the season going into that Philly game at what, a 6-7 game winning streak? Do people just forget that happened? Think that was all luck and giggles? Oh, they got lucky. No, they were good. They were incredible situationally, which, if you want to say that's a high variance statistic and it will come back down to earth, fine. I'll hear you on some level. I also think that there's a reason that the Washington Commanders were on the high end of that stuff. They practice it more than everyone else. It's important to them, and they act like it's important to them. And so this idea, like, yes, the Commanders' defense personnel-wise is not amazing. I have questions about how it's going to go. But this idea that, like, and even if you want to say their schedule is going to be harder. Hey, they won 12 games, but they had an easy schedule, and, you know, chances are they might not win as many games, but they'll still be good. People just seem to present things as fact, like, oh, they got, and they make it seem like they're this little kid that got lucky. That, you know, this 7-year-old stepped up to the darts board and flung the dart over his head backwards, and he hit the bullseye. Wow. Like, Dan Quinn's a professional coach who's pretty darn good. Jaden was unbelievable. And Cliff is really good schematically. They play together. Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louva were second-team All-Pros. Terry had the best season of his career. A bunch of other dudes had the seasons of their career because it's good infrastructure. And sometimes I listen to people talk about the NFL and I truly wonder if they know what makes teams good. Even people that were on good teams. I just think there's sometimes a fundamental misunderstanding of why teams are successful or not. And I feel like this is one of those cases.
Yeah, and I think also another thing with the media pundits, and you ask the question, like, do these guys really watch the games? They're covering all 32 teams. They don't truly understand the team like
sure.
we do. So,
but like, did you check the standings? Did you at least see who won? I mean, we don't cover all 32 like we do the Commanders, but I know who won and lost every week. We do our little segment on Mondays. Yeah. That's not even our job. We could do straight Commanders and not ever talk about any other team. We don't, because I would lose my mind. Got a little bit of variety, and we know that you out there listening care about what else is going on in the league, because eventually you're going to play the other teams. Like, hey, this team's coming to Washington in 2 weeks. How'd they do? Like, we do our little around the NFL every Monday. Like, Commanders last year down the stretch, lest you forget. And by the way, it's not like they were bad early. They lost against Tampa. They won 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. They lost against Baltimore, won 3 in a row. They had a 3-game losing streak in the middle of the season, and they didn't lose again until Philly. They lost against Dallas in that very silly game with the kickoff return late and all that stuff. Terry should have been magical play, the missed extra point. So they lose that game on November 24th. They play next Sunday, December 1st. They absolutely dump truck Tennessee. They have a bye. They win at New Orleans at the end. They beat Philadelphia. They beat Atlanta. They beat Dallas with Marcus. And then they win 2 playoff games. Like, typically that's the thing that gets you out of criticism land, is like you win multiple playoff games. For Washington, it's like, I don't know. I think they got lucky. And maybe Damian Woody is like, this reminds me of my New York Jets teams that won 2 AFC title games, and that was the end of the dynasty. I think that's ludicrous, because those teams, all due respect, were quarterbacked by Mark Sanchez, and this one's got Jaden Daniels.
Also, I hate when people say, teams got lucky. It's hard to win in the NFL. So that
the Eagles also got lucky. Every team gets lucky. Every year, that's good.
Yeah. The stretch we had in December, we don't just luckily win those games on the last play of the game. It took execution. It took, players being able to make plays. So I don't know. I be hating when I hear media pundits say
hating on haters. That's what we should. That's a segment, Anthony. Hating on the haters. They started it. We hate. They hate first. We hate back.
Yeah.
Be very popular. There's no more popular that I get as a radio host. No, nothing that excites people in the YouTube comments, nothing that gets me more attaboys on social media than when I'm hating on the haters. So easy segment to up my approval rating. Put that one in the rundown for it. I need you to find something where someone's hating on a local team every day for me to defend. 301-230-0980 is the phone number if you want to get on this a little bit later on in the show. But next, we're going to use our phone for a slightly different purpose. We're going to call a Hall of Famer. David Aldridge joins us next on The Hoffman Show. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app and streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. Plenty to talk about around the NBA today, so that is our top story. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time for Not My Beat.
Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not My Beat.
David Aldridge, senior writer at The Athletic in the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame as a journalist, with us again here on the Hoffman Show on a busier than we maybe expected NBA day. DA, how are you?
Greg, I'm good. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. We'll start with the news of the day before we get to the finals and some other loose odds and ends. Tom Thibideau is out in New York. The more I've read, including a phenomenal piece in your publication in The Athletic from some of your colleagues, including Fred Katz, the more I understand why the Knicks made this move. What do you make of it, and why do you think they ultimately decided to do it?
Look, I don't think this is something that they just decided to do yesterday. I think that there were probably concerns about Thibs and not just kind of the facile stuff that everybody talks about minutes and rotations and things like that. That's kind of baked in. You know who he is and what he's going to do. He did try to play more guys in the conference finals. He did play more guys in the conference finals with some degree of success. But my guess is, and again, it's a guess right now because we're still reporting all of this out, is, it's a combination of some players clearly were not happy. Mikal Bridges clearly expressed during the regular season he thought the starters were playing too many minutes. That was not that was publicly known. He said it on the record, to reporters toward the end of the season. You add to that the fact that not only did they lose to Indiana for a second straight year in the playoffs. You remember, they lost Game 7 at home last year in the conference semis to the Pacers and really kind of got blown out. And everybody in New York immediately said, well, Brunson was hurt and we had all these injuries, and if our team was healthy, we would have beaten the Pacers. Well, your team was healthy this time, and they still got beaten 6. I don't think they got past – I don't think mentally they ever got over Game 1, just the way they lost it. Just the complete meltdown of how they lost that game. And then you add to that, I think Rick Carlisle is one of the best coaches out there, and he is having one of the great postseasons that you can ever have. The schemes that he's come up with to beat a 64-win Cleveland team decisively, right? And to then beat a really good, not great, but a really good Knicks team in the conference semis or in the conference finals. Again, if not decisively, certainly handily, right? I think even most Knicks fans will acknowledge that they dominated one game. That was Game 5, the game they had to have to stay alive. But other than that, they were scrambling the whole time against Indiana. And part of it's personnel. The Pacers have great players, and they're playing great right now, but they are really getting coached at an extremely high level by Rick Carlisle, and I think maybe that factored in some, like the fact that everything that Carlisle seemed to do seemed to work against New York, and I think that not that nothing Thibs did work, but fewer things worked, right? And so you look at that, and you also have to add to that Thibs had 1 year left on his contract. So most coaches, right, after going into the last year of their contract will say, hey, I need an extension. If I'm going to coach this team next year, I can't be a lame duck. They have to know I have authority. I don't know if that's happened. Haven't heard that was the case. But it would not surprise me, Craig, if we find out that, Thibs made it clear or Thibs expressed an interest in getting the extension done. And I'm guessing that James Dolan said, I'm not feeling that right now.
Real quick, DA. Didn't he sign it? Didn't he sign an extension last summer though?
Yeah, but he only has it was a short one, So,
gotcha.
So coaches are very insecure, as they should be.
I can't imagine why, considering what we're talking about.
Right. And so I think it was a lot. I think it was all of that, and then you don't know what players said in the exit interviews yesterday, right? Maybe somebody said, I can't play for this guy anymore. That shouldn't cause an owner or a GM to fire him. So I think it was more a combination of things, but Thibs has a shelf life. He's had a shelf life every place he's gone. He's been in New York for 5 years. It surprises me because they were so close to getting to the finals, but am I shocked? No, I'm not shocked.
So that leads to kind of the next logical question, which is, if we say all those things, it's very easy to understand why this move happens and all of these flaws and all of these things that you can identify with Tom Thibideau and be like, that's not the ideal, certainly not optimized. And yet, for the next guy to do better, he's got to at least take this team to the NBA Finals. So what kind of coach, whether a specific person comes to mind, cough, cough, Mike Malone is available, or set of characteristics do you think that the Knicks will be looking for, and would you be looking for to maximize this roster? Or did I just set you up with a false premise because do you think they're going to blow up this roster?
Well, I'd be surprised if they blew up the roster. I mean, no matter how, if there was some problems within the team this season, they got within 2 games of the NBA Finals. That's like, it's really hard for me to say, well, you got to blow that team up.
Agreed.
You know, like,
especially in this current Eastern Conference with Tatum out next year, et cetera.
Not to the East aside, the East is obviously not as good as the West, but this is really hard to make trades now. Like, it's hard to trade Karl Anthony Towns for anybody because of so many teams are above the second apron, and you can't trade player for player if you're above the second apron, or you can only trade for player. You can't aggregate at the second apron, so that makes it difficult. And they were a very successful team. They have 2 guys who are all NBA selections. Two of the top 15 players in the league play for the New York Knicks. You know, it's pretty good, right? So, I mean, and, you know, you can say Bridges didn't have the year that you thought, but it's not like he stunk. You know, maybe he wasn't worth 5 first-round picks. Well, okay. Most guys in the league aren't worth 5 first-round picks, right? So, but it's not like he had a bad year. Anunoby had a pretty good year, right? I mean, most of their guys had pretty good years. There wasn't this huge drop-off. So I don't know that – I mean, again, it's the NBA. Anything can happen, but – I would be surprised if they blew this thing up. Like, what are you doing if you're blowing it up? Like,
right. I didn't want to make assumptions in asking about the coach, about the roster, when we know that there will be rumors about Durant, whatever the Giannis thing. Like, the Knicks are going to be mentioned, even if it's by people who don't understand the math and the potential, or like how difficult making those moves will actually be for New York.
Right. No doubt. But that would be the case if you brought Thibs back or didn't bring him back,
sure.
Right? So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying they can't make a big move. They could trade Karl Anthony Towns, I guess. I guess you could sell high and think he's, you know, but I would be surprised. I think that, again, it's not like he had a bad year. He had a really good year. It's just that, you know, he's not a great defensive player, and they were playing against a team whose coach really knows how to hunt bad matchups and does it very well. And Indy's relentless. There's a reason why Indy's in the finals. Like, you know, like they've been pretty good. If you look at their record the last 3 months, they've been pretty damn good, Craig. You know, like they have been one of the best teams in the league. So this is not like some fluke. And they were in the conference finals last year. You know what I mean? So, again, this is a pretty good team that just beat you. But again, owners are irrational. Owners want to win. Owners are desperate to win. And if you don't win, they'll go get somebody else who does. Mike Malone is certainly a very good coach. He's won a championship. I'm not really sure what difference there is between Mike Malone and Tom Thibideau stylistically in terms of how they play and how they coach. And they just literally fired Mike Malone because he didn't play his bench in Denver. Like, literally just fired him 2 months ago because he wouldn't play the bench guys. He wouldn't extend his rotation. Well, okay. so you know, materially, is there a lot of difference between one of them has a championship and one doesn't? Not really, but you could go that way. But you could certainly make the argument.
David Aldridge with us here on the Hoffman Show. So that's the Knicks. They're done. We'll have plenty of time to talk about them. Let's talk about the teams that are still playing, including this Indiana Pacers team that just beat them. First of all, I am thrilled about this finals matchup, David. This is a really, really good set of basketball teams. And stylistically, unlike, say, the Eastern Conference Finals, where it is going to be a styles makes fight type of matchup. And if the game is slow, advantage Knicks. If the game is fast, advantage Pacers. These are two of the, I think it's 5 fastest paced teams in the league. They thrive on similar things. They like to play a little bit chaotically. You have one team in Oklahoma City that forces turnovers at a historic rate, and one team in Indiana that seemingly never turns the ball over despite how fast they play. What to you holds the key to this series?
Well, I mean, I do think Indiana has a style, right? I mean, a very clear, delineated style. They play fast. And they play fast to great effect. They don't just play fast to play fast. There's lots of teams that play fast and don't do anything, right? Like they just chuck up threes for no reason. This team gets to the matchup they want. They have incredible movement without the ball. I mean, their guys are all moving all the time without the ball. The ball never sticks with them. It is going from person to person. Ping, 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 ping. And they're trying to score off of makes. It doesn't matter if you make it or not. They're running. It's a great matchup between a team that is an elite offensive team and a team that's an elite defensive team. And this will be fascinating to watch how this plays out over the course of 7 games because, I hate to compare eras because the rules are completely different and you can't have conversations with people because they've already decided who they like and who they don't like, or they like LeBron or they like Jordan, and you can't have a discussion about, who's better across eras. But I will say this Oklahoma City team is reminiscent of the Bulls, of the original Bulls defense, not the Rodman Bulls, who were good in their own way. But with Horace Grant and Pippen and Jordan when they were young, and they didn't really do it with great, they didn't beat you up. That's not what they did. They were just so quick and so long that they could guard all over the floor and recover, get back to their guys, and turn you over. And now they're running. That's what this OKC team reminds me of, just in terms of they're like piranhas.
Yeah.
If you turn your back, God help you. If you turn your back on these guys, they are attacking, and it's hard to sustain good offense against them because they're just so relentless, and it's hard to kind of get them out of position. They stay connected. They're really good defensively, Craig. They are really good. So it will be fascinating to see if Indiana can play with pace, but also play effectively with pace and continue to score at a high clip like they've done throughout the playoffs against everybody, right? I mean, they wear you down over 48 minutes, and then the floodgates open the last 6 minutes, and it's an avalanche of points, right? So I think it was in True Hoop today, and it was an interesting point. They sped Brunson. They made Brunson play defense, and Brunson was ineffective. Brunson was less efficient. Let me put it that way. Now, he was less efficient offensively. Didn't mean he sucked. I'm not saying he had a terrible series. I'm saying he was less efficient offensively than he was before. And I think there's a pretty good correlation. If you make a guy defend, he gets a little more tired, right? So now the question is, can they make SGA play defense and maybe wear him out a little bit? Because his terrestrial numbers, his shooting in the conference finals, it wasn't that great. He shot a lot of free throws, but if you look at his field goal attempts and field goals and field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, it wasn't that great. He had some clunkers offensively in terms of shooting the ball. So now, if you're making him guard somebody, right, that may have an even greater impact. Now the question is, can you make that happen? Just because I say it's possible doesn't mean it's going to happen. Right, so that to me is the series. Can they speed up SGA and Jalen Williams by making them guard people so that they are less efficient in the fourth quarters of games, which is when Oklahoma City usually kills you in the third quarter. That's to be fair. It's not the fourth quarter; it's the third quarter. But let's just say less efficient in the second half offensively, so that instead of being up by 15 points after 3 quarters, they're up by 2 or they're down, right? So To me, that's where I'll be fascinated to see where this series goes in terms of can they make SGA guard people for 7 games and then see what he's got left offensively.
And this is one of the fascinating things about the way Carlisle does it is there is nowhere to hide against Indiana in ways that you can hide against other teams. Every guy can pass, dribble, shoot to at least some extent, which is why there was nowhere really for Karl Towns to hide and nowhere for Brunson to hide in the Eastern Conference Finals, which was a problem for New York. David Aldridge with us from The Athletic. Of course, he is a senior columnist. But for years, David, we all watched you on the NBA on TNT, and it was fun to see your face pop up in the montages, at least for me this weekend, and think about all the times and think, like, it's pretty cool that guy comes to my radio show now. But I'm sure it was an emotional weekend watching everything wind down on Turner for you. If when you talk to people and they say, hey, like, what's your favorite NBA on TNT story? Can you share that story with us?
Oh man, I mean, there's so many of them, but really, again, to be honest with you, Craig, it's not being on the set. It was great fun being on the set with the guys. When they had me on Inside or they had me on the pregame show, that was great fun. It was great fun doing games. I got to work with Marv Albert. I got to work with Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller and Stan Van Gundy and Chris Webber and Doug Collins. Got to work with some great play-by-play guys and analysts. It was terrific. It was tremendous fun. But really, it was the plane rides. Like we would fly to wherever we're going next, especially when OKC, their first iteration with Durant and Westbrook and those guys. Like we chartered some because there's just not a lot of flights out of OKC. So, just being on a plane with folks and laughing with them and being in the bar after a game and the breakfast meetings that you would have before a game. I mean, just those times with those folks were just tremendous and incredible and such a blessing for me to get a chance to be with the best group. I worked at ESPN. They were really good. It was a really good place. It's a really good shop in terms of production and those sorts of things. They put a really good product out. But if you're talking about who does the best NBA broadcast and who has the best NBA studio show, it's Turner. It's TNT. It's not close. It's not close. And when when you're there, I was there 14 years, and that you're working with the best people, like that really is, you feel gratitude, right? Like they think enough of me to think that I can help their broadcast. And that just, it was great fun. It was great working with Ernie and with Shaq and with Chuck and with Kenny and again, everybody behind the scenes, Tim Kiley, everybody, the producers and the everybody, in the trucks. If you did a game, they're just great, hardworking people, and it was very emotional for me because they really came. They hired me when I really needed to be hired by somebody and gave me an opportunity to do what I do and cover the league the way I wanted to cover it, and wanted me to cover it that way. Didn't want me to be what I wasn't or who I wasn't. And so I'm always going to be grateful to them for that, and thankful that I got a chance to work with the best. I work with the best people who cover the NBA for a long time, and I'm grateful for that.
I think the thing that struck me, David, in seeing some of the clips from behind the scenes over the weekend was, I think it was Ernie who would be so appropriate if he was the one who said this, but it might have been one of the producers, Kylie or whoever it was, saying most of the people in this room, I think it was during their final show at Studio J in Atlanta, most of the people in this room have been here for 20 plus years. Yeah. And that is something you don't see in our business. Our business changes. Right. Our business is absolutely brutal. And the fact that they kept so many people for so long, that your 14 years might have been considered a short stint, I think is a truly magical thing. And it certainly must have helped create the product that we've all watched for 25, 30, plus years.
I think it definitely helps you when you're not constantly looking over your shoulder, Craig. That makes a huge difference when you know that your work is valued and that the people value you and that you are going to be there for a while. You relax and you can just kind of do what you do and not worry about, well, is this going to be good enough? My contract's up, and that sort of. They take away all your excuses, Craig. They took away all my excuses. They pay you well. They fly you first class. Like, you're staying in nice hotels. Like, they really, if you can't do good work for them, I don't know who you could do good work for, because they really make it as easy as humanly possible. And I'm great. Like I said, I'm just grateful that I got an opportunity to work at a place that good for that long. It's the best place I ever worked by far.
And, hopefully a lot of those people will be staying put, even though the show will be in a different place on ESPN, and many other talented folks going to Amazon and NBC to hopefully make the NBA coverage really great at those places. David, we always really appreciate your time here on this show. Thanks so much, as always, and enjoy the NBA Finals, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
David Aldridge with us here on The Hoffman Show, senior columnist now for The Athletic, where you can read his work, and he's a frequent guest on their podcasts and such as well. Always great to have DA on and get his perspective on the league. When we get back, a flip of gears here on the Team 980. There's a brand new documentary film coming out Saturday, June 14th, on TJ Oshie and the relationship that he had with his dad. It's called Coach, and this morning I was able to talk to TJ and the directors of the film. I was also able to watch an early screening of the film. Very, very emotional, heart-wrenching type of film, but done in a beautiful, beautiful way. Talk to TJ, talk to the directors from Nash Films, and you'll hear that conversation next here on the Team 980. The Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming on YouTube at the Team 980. And it's my pleasure now. I don't think I've ever done an interview with this many boxes on the screen, this many different voices. So we'll try to keep everybody straight. We got Clifford and Griffin Nash, who are in charge of the new film Coach, about TJ Oshie and TJ's pops, of course, Coach Osh. And TJ is with us as well, the 2018 Stanley Cup champion. Fellas, how we doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. I feel like that was TJ, and then we have I want to make sure for the radio audience we get everyone's voices straight. So Cliff and Griff, if you guys could just say hi and who you are real quick, that way the radio audience knows which voice is which when we get there.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Cliff Nash. I'm one of the directors of Coach, and I'm Griffin Nash, the co-director of Coach, and we're identical twins, so hopefully we don't sound too much alike. So
there's only so much we can do. We did our best. That's the best radio trick I got in the bag. So hopefully everyone can keep everybody straight. And I got a chance to watch the film this morning. It was great. It was such an interesting film to me because obviously this is a tremendously emotional story that a lot of us, especially in DC, are on some level familiar with. But what I appreciated about the film, and I wanted to ask all three of you about, is kind of that approach to the emotional roller coaster of the story. It didn't have any manufactured drama. It told the story and let the emotions of the story kind of carry the story throughout. Is that something that was conscious, in line with your personality? So I'm curious what input you had there, or was it just maybe you answered the questions and that thus is the film that you're working with? So I'll start off with Cliff and Griff here as the directors here. But does that sound about right? Does that sound like an approach or a conscious thing that you guys had in mind as you made the film?
yeah, I mean, just right off the bat, I mean, when we first met TJ, salt of the earth type of guy, we knew there was a story there, and we do a lot of work with professional athletes, and right from the beginning, we knew that there was a human story there, and it was unique. And as we started diving into interviewing TJ and talking to him about his life and then talking to him about Coach, we knew that there was this beautiful father-son story that I think, to speak on behalf of my brother and I, like, we grew up playing hockey. We went to the rink growing up, those 6 a.m. Sunday morning games, there's a bond that you develop with your parent when you're going and doing all that over and over again, all through your youth. And we just knew there was a story there. And then when we got to know more about TJ's story, and just there was this parallel that was basically, as TJ's NHL career was skyrocketing, Coach's health started to go down just because he was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of Alzheimer's. And I just think that when we started contrasting those two stories, and then started working with TJ and developing how he was going to tell this story, we were just blown away at how connected it felt and how, like, the emotional strings of it. And it was just a beautiful story. And that's how it really evolved. And I mean, I can pass it off to my twin brother to, finish my thought. But that was something that I just thought it was what hooked me from the beginning. And I think it's the most relatable thing from the story is that father-son journey. So yeah, just to reiterate, I mean, this film, it's taken about 5 years to get to this point. So we've seen the story, like most documentary stories, change after you start. And I think just it goes back to TJ just trusting us with the story, being honest on camera. Like, it goes back to that. It's like, we're not driving anything here. We're just telling the story. And there's obviously some beautiful moments, NHL history-wise. There's beautiful moments archive-wise that, it's the stuff that you can't Google. And I think it's a real story. That's where I would land on. So,
TJ?
Yeah, I mean, the making of the doc was, for me, maybe I was a little nervous at the start to kind of open up, but these guys were so great to work with, so generous, to come meet me and make everything work with a growing family. And so it was, it was, they made me feel very comfortable that I could open up and share. And like I said, it's been a long process. So these guys have done a lot of work on this thing. I mean, I'm happy to do the interviews and, sit through the story, but I'm not back there crunching clips and making everything look perfect and make everything slide perfectly. So the mastermind is behind these guys, and very proud of how they were able to portray and show the story of me.
You mentioned ahead of the clip in the doc with Lindsay Zarniak, where you on the ice after winning the cup, she asks you like, "Hey, who's this for?" You say it's for Coach. You say in an interview right before that clip, like, "Hey, this was not something I was trying to do. Like, I wasn't trying to raise awareness. Like, this just naturally happened." Obviously, to make a documentary, you're making a conscious decision to share even more. So, TJ, why was now the right time? And why was this the right forum to share even more context and share even more about your story and your family's story?
Well, I think the one thing that I noticed after we won, after the parties settled down a little bit, was
when took a nice swim through the fountains.
Yeah. Once the swimming and the Nats games and all the stuff settled down, is the amazing outreach I got from people who were either in the same boat as me, that had a family member that was affected by Alzheimer's, someone who had someone in the past, or someone in their family. And I mean, there might have been as many people reach out about Alzheimer's and them, I don't want to say feeling comfort, but feeling like someone else is going through the same thing that they are. And there might have been as many of those people reach out as many people that were excited about winning the Stanley Cup. So it really opened my eyes to how big and how many people have been affected by Alzheimer's, and not only how it affects them, which is obviously terrible and tragic, but also affects the families of the people that care for them, the people that have those amazing memories with them that their family members no longer remember. So to raise awareness and to just show people that, even though when people watch me on TV and, you're winning championships, you're scoring goals, you're making big hits or whatever it is, that we're still people too. And we still go through the same things that the people in the stands are going through. And so to have that connection is super important to me. And just to show people out there that, that other people are going through it too, and they're not alone.
Clifford and Griffin Nash, as well as TJ Oshie, with us here on the Hoffman Show. By the way, the film Coach will debut at the DC Docs Film Festival coming up June 14th. Their specific premiere is at 11:30 a.m. at the Woolly Mammoth Theater Company. You can search DC Docs, and that's how you can find Docs, by the way, DOX, if you want more information on tickets and want to go see the film. So, there's a version of this story that's a 5-minute ESPN feature. There's a version that's an hour-and-a-half feature-length film. You guys decide for about a 30-minute film here, and that is ultimately an editorial decision to say this is part of TJ's life story happening in the larger context of his entire life story and of his childhood, but you don't necessarily go deep on, say, the Olympic heroics, which that could be its own 30-minute film, but you can save that one for another time. But how, Griffin and Clifford, how did you guys decide what to include, what not to include, to make sure that you told both a complete story, but not one that was, a 3-hour film?
I mean, first off, we could definitely make a 3-hour film of TJ's career alone. I mean, I think at one point we had a 90-minute cut of the film, but I think as the story evolved, as the 5 years went by, I mean, we narrowed it down. The film's called Coach. So it's about the relationship with Coach. Trust me, we spent a lot of time talking to TJ about the Olympics. We shared some videos. I mean, that shootout was heard around the world. And we were having legit chills when we were cutting those scenes together. But it really went back to what we were just discussing, the human element of the story, the stuff you can't Google, that connection with Coach and TJ. And again, the title Coach, it's it's the father-son journey piece. So yes, it was very difficult cutting some stuff out of that storyline, but I think at the end, it really tied everything together. It's raising awareness. And we partnered with Hilarity for Charity, and Seth Rogen and Lauren Miller Rogen. And they share a passion for raising awareness for Alzheimer's as well. And our first call with Seth and Lauren, I should get some, like a piece of wall art to put this in our edit suite. Seth said at the end of the day, he was like, when you're trying to tell a concise story, it's called addition by subtraction. So the hardest part is trimming that story down so that it flows and it's tighter. And yeah, there were some times in that edit suite where we were going back and forth for a while. We were like, oh, like this is such a great moment with TJ. But then at the same time, it's like it kind of took away from the direction we were going with his relationship with Coach, and that's that story as well. There were a lot of parallel stories. So yeah, I mean, going back to it, I mean, it was one of the best notes we ever got from the Rogans was addition by subtraction at the end of the day. And I'd say we're definitely very proud of. I mean, this it's technically 35 and change right now, 35 minutes. But it's I think it's a beautifully told story now, and we're pumped. It's taken 5 years, and we're really excited to get it out there and have people see it because I think they're going to enjoy it. So,
what's it like to be on a serious call with Seth Rogen?
You know, I think we were sitting like this in like 2021 on a Zoom call, and it was like I remember it was January and it was pitch black out here, but we were kind of pinching ourselves because like he's making twin jokes on the Zoom call. Well, I mean, no, but you know what? It was straight business. I mean, they were very professional. Like Lauren and Seth were awesome, and their charity as well. I mean,
very generous.
They couldn't have been more supportive of this project. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's like when we set out on this story to tell with TJ, we said we wanted to bring his story to the largest audience possible to raise awareness for Alzheimer's. And I think that they saw that and they wanted to jump in and be a part of it because it means a lot to them as well. And it was great. It was a great couple Zoom calls we had with them. I'll leave it at that. So
I'm sure. TJ, perhaps the most, I don't know, maybe tension filled. I'm trying to think of the right word here, but I'll go with that. Most tension filled moment, most dramatic moment of the film is when you're talking about your decision to get the genetic testing or not. You know, for those that don't know, the version of Alzheimer's that your dad had is something that can be passed down through a family. And so when you guys ultimately get this diagnosis, you are both having to deal with the reality of what that means for you, your dad, your family, but also this realization like, wow, this is something I could have and could potentially have already passed at that point. You had your two daughters, your kids. And so can you take us through as much as you're willing to share kind of that moment, but also then the decision to ultimately get the genetic testing and why you went through with it?
Yeah, we knew originally that we wanted 4, and we didn't want to continue growing the family until we knew. So once we found out, you know, my mind immediately shifts towards my kids, and you know, for better or for worse, I almost played hockey the same way. I was thinking about, you know, my teammates, not necessarily my body or getting hit or injuries or whatever it was. It just happened for whatever reasons the way I'm wired. So immediately I wanted to start the process of trying to find out. I thought it was a quick go in and give blood thing. Apparently there's a lot more to it because obviously it's a serious diagnosis. And on top of that, if I did have it, I could also start early prevention in my 20s, early 30s. And I could also, my kids would then be able to grow up and I could think about different things as far as diet and hygiene and, you know, all the little tricks to try to push this thing off. So it was a decision for my kids and for my future kids that we wanted to have. And so for me, it was a super easy decision. I imagine it's not for everyone, but it's something that was available to me. I had the ability to get it done. hats off to the Mayo Clinic and out in Rochester for getting me in and getting me through the process. But it was a lot harder to actually do it with a psych eval and, everything to make sure that everyone stays safe to figure out that diagnosis.
TJ Oshie, along with Clifford and Griffin Nash, with us here on the Hoffman Show. The new film Coach debuts at the DC Docs Film Festival on June 14th. TJ, another moment that I wanted to ask you about from the film is a moment that is, indelible for any DC sports fan. That game against the Rangers, and it's a beautiful ending to the film, or near ending to the film. And I think it's interesting to talk to you about this as an athlete, because you experienced that through your own eyes. We all experienced it in the same way that we see it in the film. We saw it on TV. I love that you guys included John Walton's calls here in our Odyssey DC family over on 106.7 The Fan. So nice shout out for us. But we hear John's calls, and I'm curious, TJ, for you, what it was like to ultimately watch those moments through our eyes, the way we saw them on TV, the highlights, the footage, and hearing John's calls put alongside that, versus how you experienced it in the moment, which almost must have already felt like an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, it was a complete 180 from what was going on in my mind to what was going on TV and how you would see it as a fan. Obviously, there was some shenanigans going on with the game prior, with all the fights, and it was overnight became two almost of the most hated teams teams that instantly hated each other, and so it was very entertaining, and there's a lot of different storylines there with Tom, with the fourth line all dropping the gloves at the start. I think Panarin might have been out, and it was a wild game. In my eyes, basically in between, just like anytime I saw someone and they came and gave me a hug, it was like almost time to cry for me. So for me, I wasn't thinking about any of that stuff. I obviously saw it go on. Me and Coach actually watched the previous game together, with people coming in and out of the house all day. The game was on, and his eyes were actually focused towards the TV, which was pretty special, since I didn't watch a lot of hockey growing up. So it's almost like we watched one last game together. But for me, it was, in between shifts on the bench, I'm just trying not to break down. At one point, someone thought I was going to fight him. I almost snapped there and probably would have done something that would have got me suspended, because he tried to drop the gloves with me. Luckily, someone on their team kind of grabbed him and pulled him back and was like, "Hey, not him, not tonight." And so I think it was a young guy, and either way, but it was a very emotional game for me, and very different from my seat on the bench, even on the ice. Thinking about Coach, just trying to play and not cry, to all the other stuff that went on. So a lot of different storylines in that one game, but it was a good one and an important one for me in that early stages, just a day and a half away from Coach passing.
One more hockey question real quick on the way out here. I'd be remiss, TJ, if I didn't ask you, considering the season the Caps just had, what was it like for you watching Ovi break the record this year?
Oh, man. It was amazing. And I say this all the time. When I first came here, there was, he was still scoring. He was still, unbelievable. But everyone talked about this 2-year window, which would have been 10 and 9 years ago now. And it was like, there's 2 years, and then Ovi's going to get old and slow down, and Backstrom's going to get old and slow down. People are losing their primes. Brooks Orpik is going to get slowed down. Holtby's going to slow down. And people, when people keep saying that, you hear that in the media, you think, gosh, maybe, he's probably going to slow down soon. Maybe he's going to slow down soon. And then after a couple of years, I was finally like, guys, I'm done second guessing anything that he can do, because he continuously proves people wrong. And every time someone says that this is the year that Ovi's going to go away, even if he doesn't have a great year, that next year is even better. So to be along for that ride and to be his teammate and his friend, for our families for us to start families and grow families side by side has been super important to me in my life. And also, I mean, to see him break the record, it was a magical moment. And having Wayne there, being there with Nick, thankful that Ted brought us along to watch on Long Island. It was amazing. I can't say enough good things about O, but I'm also not surprised that he did it.
Yeah, which, I mean, like Jerry Rice's receiving records and Gretzky's anything records, those are the ones that are just like, those are in a different category. If you're touching any of them, you've done something basically superhuman. And so to see it happen was pretty wild. Clifford, Griffin, anything else you want to add about the film, about the story, about working with TJ here on the way out, as people are going to get to see this film here in the next couple of weeks?
I think everybody should come to the screening next week and check out this film. It's an emotional roller coaster told by a salt of the earth guy that's a human being just like the rest of us. And I think we're just excited to get it out there. You know,
I'm sure you've been working on it for 5 years. I would say that's a fair feeling to feel.
It's been worth it. That's documentary filmmaking in a nutshell. You know, it's and the story is it's evolved for sure. And I mean, I still remember the first meeting we had with TJ talking about this. I mean, sometimes it feels like yesterday, sometimes it feels like 5 years ago.
I mean, we've watched his children grow up on a computer. It's crazy.
Yeah. Wild, yeah. It's like it's a slice of life, but like it's been tremendously rewarding just seeing everything evolve and his family grow. And let's just get people to the theater and premiere this thing. So.
Let's do it. Woolly Mammoth Theater Company is where you can see it. June 14th, 11:30 a.m. DC Docs is the film festival, so you just Google that. It'll take you right to the website. You can get tickets for individual films, for the film festival as a whole. Again, Docs, D-O-X, so DC, D-O-X. Just search that, and you will be able to get to where you need to go rather expeditiously. TJ Oshie, Clifford, and Griffin Nash, appreciate the time here on The Hoffman Show. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. And if you're watching us on YouTube, which you can, of course, at the Team 980, you see Casey Krueger, defender of the Washington Spirit, or I guess defender for the Washington Spirit. You could be the defender of the whole crest, Casey. Defender of the Spirit.
I don't know. That's a tough title.
Sounds like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, a little too much for me.
We're going to get the not fun stuff out of the way first. You guys obviously had some fairly significant news that broke late last week, officially announced by the club this weekend. Yona Geraldez is leaving for France. Adrian Gonzalez, who was the interim head coach at the start of last season, is going to get the full-time job later on this month. How did you guys find out about that, and what is your reaction to it?
Yeah, definitely big news. The coaching change is never easy, of course, but we had, a players-only meeting where it was addressed. And yeah, we're excited because, Adrian's been here. It's not like we're getting someone new, he's been here, he's established, he's done excellent here. And so we're excited for that and thankful for our time with Jonah as well.
What was playing for Audrey like at the beginning of last year? Because every player I talked to was like, he's awesome. I love that guy. Why do players like him so much? Who is Adrian Gonzalez?
He's the best. I mean, we had like a brand new, staff, brand new team, and I didn't really know what to expect. But I mean, we really hit the ground running because of him and the way that he coached and the energy he brings and the standard that he holds us to. And I think it showed pretty quickly in the results last year.
As someone who was coming in, like, you're obviously by nature of your space in the league, like, you're going to be looked at as a leader. You're a vet. You've been an amazing player in this league for a long time. You were also brand new last year. So what was it like kind of adjusting to all the newness for you? And then, how much different is it, knowing that there's going to be an adjustment period this year, but you obviously know Adrian, you're not new to the team, and everyone kind of understands what's at stake here.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting dynamic coming in, being a new player last year, but also being like one of the oldest players. And I still don't necessarily see myself as a leader, but it's a role that, I need to take. I'm more of the, lead by example type. But I think, coming in last year, the staff is just incredible and the transition was seamless. And, it's easy when you have amazing players both on and off the field. So I think, the chemistry developed pretty darn quickly. And so that's why I think we're confident, again, with this transition, I think it'll be pretty seamless as well.
This has been a very interesting year for your team, as Casey Krueger from the Washington Spirits with us here on the Hoffman Show. 1-3-1 at home, 5-0-0 on the road. Also, obviously, there's been a ton of injuries. You and others have gotten back into the lineup as of late. And I talked to Hal about this a couple weeks ago, about just kind of looking up to that box that you all sit in when you're hurt and being like, man, that's a goon squad up there. Can't wait till everyone's back out there. What was it like for you to, have those experiences to watch with your teammates, but then ultimately now getting the chance to be back on the field? You're out there for 80 minutes in the last game. What's it been like to get back on the field and take whatever you saw from that view from on high and get back into the mix?
Yeah, it's always tough, having an injury and being sidelined, but it's also a time to take a step back and sort of gain a new perspective on things and see the game from, a different perspective. And so yeah, that's just what I try to do. Luckily, wasn't out too long, but was hungry to get back. And I think that was the biggest thing, was just trying to get back. And we're slowly getting people back and getting the group back together. And hopefully we can keep pushing forward.
Do you feel like, I know this might be a hard question to answer without doing too, like giving away, like, we made this tactical change and hey, North Carolina, here's what we did. But there was obviously some issues on the defensive side. Like, do you guys feel confident now with the international break, with you and Hal and others back in the fold, that has been, like, you had an idea what was going wrong and now you feel pretty good about it moving forward?
I think one of the focus in like defending in the box. We've seen the same goal kind of happen a few times, and so that was something that we took a look at. Those are details that you have to train, and we've gone over those details. So I think, it'll continue to get better and better. And like you said, as we continue to get more defensive players back as well, that definitely helps.
Larry, let's talk about one of my favorite moments of the season so far. The moment against Utah because that was like, it felt like a release for those of us in the crowd, because it was a very frustrating, very tense game. And all of a sudden, there you go. You create the moment at the end. What's your vantage point on that game tying goal? That obviously, you know, it ends in a draw, but you know, one of those draws that feels more like a win than a loss.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I went in, I was like, we are not losing this game. Like, we need to turn this around. And I just wanted to do anything I could to help turn things around. But yeah, as soon as I saw Tara start the play, I was like, oh, this ball, she's going to cross this ball. It's going in the box. So I need to get my butt in the box and do what I can to get on the end of it.
You've played with so many great center backs over the years, whether it's U.S. Women's National Team, Chicago, or now here. But is it just different when Tara gets forward, knowing like somewhere deep in the back of your mind, like, oh yeah, she used to do this for real. Like she used to be a forward and a pretty good one. And so is it a little bit different of an approach as you're, you know, maybe playing her back, or, you know, telling, you know, other center backs like, hey, how about you don't go too far forward? And for Tara, it's like, go.
I know. I love it. It's like, keep going, go score. Like, you can do that. That's fine. You're good.
Yeah.
She does it all. Yeah, absolutely. She's incredible. Her growth has been so great to see. Just back there as a center back, and now getting rewarded for it, being, you know, a regular with the national team. So I think that's been really cool to see. But anytime she takes the ball forward, I'm fully confident she's going to make something happen. It's going to be dangerous.
What has it been like, kind of the outside back meeting room, if you will? You have Gabby, who's an international caliber player. McKenna is now getting frequent call-ins to the U.S. national team program with the U23s. Paige Mateer had a kind of a breakout season last year at that spot, and hopefully she'll be back sooner rather than later. So what's it been like to have that group and your position group, you know, to train with every day and to meet with and to just be around?
Yeah, it's an incredible core group. All those players, and Kate Wiesner as well is another great player, and she's coming back as well. And we're just pushed every single day. It's a tough group, but also a really awesome group, and we're constantly, we're just like pushing the standard every day.
Casey Krueger with us here on the Hoffman Show. Casey, we've seen you carrying Caleb everywhere. One of the OG moms, and one of the people that, like, say the moms of the NWSL, you're one of the first names that comes to mind. And I know that Andy Sullivan came to you when, you know, fairly early on when she was ready to start telling people that she was expecting. What were those early conversations like? I think, you know, all of us who have known Andy, and I've been lucky enough to know Andy for a long time, like, so excited for her and Drew and for them to have a little one running around. What were some of those conversations like about motherhood with Andy?
Oh my gosh, just so emotional for her. Like, her and Drew are the best humans on the planet. And they're just going to be the best parents. So just first and foremost, was so happy for her. And then, of course, giving her any knowledge that I had, but, you know, you never know with the baby. But I'm so happy for her, and I can't wait to see her take that next step. As a mom, she's going to be incredible. And I'm excited for her comeback as well.
Yeah, for sure. North Carolina this weekend, incredible challenge with Sanchez and you know, everything they've got going there. She's been really a creative force this season, trying to get the chemistry right with her and Jaden Shaw. But, like, you never want to be the team where it's like, oh, that's when North Carolina really figured that out. What are some of the things y'all are looking at, and some of the challenges that you see that this North Carolina team presents?
Yeah, they love to keep the ball. We know that. They're very dangerous in the attack. They've got world-class players, as you mentioned, and just so technically sound. So I think all of those things, just looking at all of those things, and I don't want to get into our game plan too much, but yeah, we're definitely trying to account for them as well.
All right, last thing for you, Casey. I've just kind of made it my point to collect these stories, because Croy came back, and she had that first touch where she trapped the ball, you know, off a 60-yard ping from Sandy, and just, like, kept moving like that's a thing that human beings are supposed to be able to do. And so now every Spirit player I have on, I'm just asking, what's the craziest thing you've seen Croy Bethune do with a soccer ball?
Just break ankles, honestly, on the daily, literally. Just casually, you know. She's incredible. She's so special, but it's something every day. I'm just like, wow. You're incredible, Croy.
Is it different, like, when if all of a sudden she comes into your area of the field, are you like, not me, not today? Or are you just you in the moment?
I mean, I think a little part of me is like, great, got to go 1v1 with Croy today, you know. Turn it up. No, but I love it. She makes everybody better around her, for sure.
Just, you know, make sure that if the social team's around or cameras around, be like, no, deleted footage. No, not If she does it to other
That's
people
not
in a
going
game,
anywhere.
I will share that video. We can get the hits then, not inter-team violence. We don't need that.
Exactly.
Casey Krueger of the Washington Spirit. She will, of course, with her teammates, be on the pitch this weekend. Sunday game, 4:00. If you want to get out to Audi Field, some tickets still available. Going to be a fun one out. I appreciate the time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. Mystics and Liberty tonight. Actually, sorry, Mystics and Fever tonight. Don't look at me like that, Anthony. I knew what came out of my mouth was incorrect information, unlike the other times when I don't.
Just caught me off guard.
Yeah, I said the wrong thing. I was seeing if you were paying attention.
Was.
You passed the test. Congratulations, sir. The Fever in Indiana are hosting the Mystics tonight. I, but also kind of the show will be at Care First Arena on Thursday ahead of the Mystics and Liberty game. Anthony's going to make his way over after because he's going to sit in this chair that he's in right now, but he's going to come over after for the game. So if you want to find Anthony and say hi, you still can. You just got to be there for the game. And, well, you got to be there to the game to say hi to me, too. You don't just let people in and be like, guy wants to go say hi to the radio show. No. You got to buy a ticket and see some good basketball. Hopefully, Sticks can make some layups. We'll talk about the Mystics and Fever, though, coming up in 10 minutes. Not right now. That was the point of me mentioning that, and then I got sidetracked. Here's what I want to talk about right now, Anthony. Knicks fired Tom Thibideau today, right? And I think most people, there's a lot of people in the NBA world that are like, I can't believe this happened. And it's like, thanks for paying attention. And the more I've read about it, the more I've listened to people in the know and kind of read some stuff from up in New York, the less surprised I am. And the more I think it actually might be the right decision. However, I also understand the people in the NBA who are like, what are you doing? This guy just had the best season you've had in 25 years, and he has progressed, right? You know, Indiana last year didn't fire Rick Carlisle because they lost in the conference finals. They brought him back, and lo and behold, here they are. People see the fever. Now I got the fever. Wrong Indiana team. Eventually, the Fever will be in the right place. The Pacers were an ascending team, right? And everyone's like, I got it, okay. And plus, Carlisle's thought to be one of the best in the league. Right? But they run it back, and just running it back and getting more experience and letting Tyrese Halliburton experience some different things, and Siakam in the role that he's in, guys like Nembhard, Nesmith, etc., Turner, they're better this year. They also don't have to face Boston, and voila, they're in the NBA Finals. And I think most people look at them as a deserving team because they've been one of the best 4 or 5 teams in the league since the calendar turned to 2025, certainly post All-Star break. Great. And it just reminds me how freaking hard it is to win in this league. That's the thing I can't stop thinking about. And I'm not trying to pigeonhole this or shoehorn to make this a local Wizards thing. But it also, from what they're doing, oh my God, it's so hard to get right. You can do so many things right in the process. No one would say that Tom Thibideau isn't a really good coach. No one would say that the Knicks don't have a really, really good roster. And yet, they're far enough away, having just been 2 games shy of the NBA Finals. They're we got to make a major change. It's just, in many ways, and I'm trying to, decide if this is confirmation bias and me trying to feel smart about myself, but it confirms the thing that I've talked about so often over the last couple of years with the Wizards rebuild, or even just non-Wizards related at all in these playoffs, of there are a bunch of teams that are really, really good basketball teams that have little to no shot of winning an NBA title. Because, for instance, the Knicks are such a great example of this. Against 28 teams in the league, the Knicks are better. And one of the reasons they can be better is 28 teams have somewhere for them to hide Karl Anthony Towns as a defender. They have a guy who is maybe just a spot-up shooter, and Towns can just float out with him and be like, okay, fine, I'll whatever. Or even better, is a non-offensive player, someone that as long as Cat doesn't allow a million backdoor cuts, is fine. They're not really that much of a threat as a shooter, so he can kind of pop into the lane and be a help defender, block a couple shots, be there in rebounding position. But he's not going to be that player is never going to be involved in pick and rolls. Towns is never going to have to do anything complicated. He's never going to have to think on defense. Just don't fall asleep and then go rebound. Against a team like Indiana, that player doesn't exist. Nembhard, Nesmith, Halliburton, Turner, Siakam. There's your starting five. Guys like Shepard coming off the bench who handle the basketball. Thomas Bryant, shooter, coming off the bench. They don't have guys that you can just hide on. And if you eliminate that, it completely changes the complexion of a playoff series. It's why, if you want to try to make an argument for Indiana in the series against Oklahoma City, guys like Chet Holmgren, Chet's a much, much better defender than Cat, but he is a roamer shot blocker type. And SGA, while he has had great steal numbers, is not the world's greatest defender, certainly not on the level of his teammates, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, etc., who's some of the very best in the league. So, where does SGA hide? If Holmgren can't be a rim protector who's floating against a non-offensive big because he's got to go babysit Miles Turner or Thomas Bryant in the corner or out at the top of the key, and he's involved in pick and roll actions, does the Oklahoma City defense that's been historically great fall apart? I don't think it will. I'm picking Oklahoma City in the series. But, those are the margins. And I think that's the thing that's so hard to keep in mind during an NBA season is most nights, most teams play a different caliber and a different brand of basketball than you will see at the very end of the NBA playoffs. But if you can't play that brand, the end of the NBA playoff brands, it doesn't matter how many games you win during the regular season. It doesn't matter how easy your playoff run is until you get there. You will die before the final stage, before the final level in the video game, if you will. There's just no hiding it. And that's why winning in this league is so hard and why I think building a winner, a true champion in the NBA is harder than in any other league in any other sport.
I agree with 1,000% of what you just said. I still feel as though Thibs should have been given one more year. And I think DA pointed it out earlier, I think, where he talked about, the continuity that the Pacers and Thunder have with one another. They've been allowed, and even you just mentioned, they brought Rick Carlisle back, to experiment with this group one more time. And guess what? That experiment, or that chance paid off for them, and now they're in the NBA Finals. So I think with this group that they have and the fact that Thibs finally was finding something with his bench, because he wasn't trusting with them. And I think that's something, we talked about earlier today in our pre-show meeting, where you experiment those kinds of things during the regular season. He didn't have this full roster throughout the entire season. He did have some of those guys, but not everybody that he had towards the end of the season. So I just think he should have been given one more chance, running back, and, try to find something with this group. But if they find somebody that's going to be able to get the most out of all of those guys in year one, so be it. But I know it's championship or bust after this move.
Yeah, it's got to be. All right, when we get back, Mystics, again, they are at son of a gun. I'm going to get it right eventually. The Mystics tonight are playing in Indiana before they host the Liberty on Thursday. The game will be at 7 o'clock. Megan McPeak and Christy Winter-Scott will be on the call, and they know which teams will be playing. But we'll preview, because I know which teams will also be playing next here on the Team 980. Tonight, 7 o'clock in Indianapolis, Indiana, Gainbridge Fieldhouse to be exact. Home, of course, of the Eastern Conference champion Indiana Pacers and the Indiana Fever. The Washington Mystics will take the floor to take on a struggling Indiana Fever team, Anthony. Again, the game is here on the Team 980, our preview right now before real things and then handing things off to Christy and Megan. This Indiana team, Anthony, I thought was going to be one of the best in the W. I still think they will probably wind up being one of the best in the W. But right now, they are 2-4, which puts them a half game behind the Mystics at 3-4. They are the 8th in the league. Again, it's a 13-team league this year with the addition of Golden State. There will be 2 more teams coming in the next couple of years as well. But Indiana 2-4 so far on the season. Thanks in large. It's kind of funny, by the way. They're 2-4, yet still have a plus 4.8 point differential on average because they won their 2 wins by such significant margins. And they have lost a couple of close games. And, they won 93-58 against Chicago to open the year. They lost by 1 to Atlanta. They have a 5-point win against Atlanta, then a 2-point loss, a 6-point loss to the Mystics last week, and then a 2-point loss to Connecticut over the weekend. So struggling is relative, but they certainly are not the same, as you would imagine, without Caitlin Clark. It's an MVP caliber player that they are missing, the centerpiece of their entire offensive system. And to boot, Anthony, they are also now without Sydney Colson, who is the backup for Clark, who got hurt 9 minutes into the game against Connecticut over the weekend, and Sophie Cunningham. They signed multiple players on hardship contracts. So where I land on this for the Mystics is this is a big opportunity. This is a Mystics team that is absolutely going to be fighting for the playoffs. Again, it's only a 13-team league, and 8 teams make the playoffs. It's not that hard to make the playoffs. And of course, from a team-building standpoint, higher pick, whatever, the Mystics have Chicago's pick. Chicago is 2-4 on the year and has looked like one of the worst teams in the league. In fact, they have the second worst point differential in the entire league, losing by an average of over 10 points per game. So they have Chicago's pick because of the Ariel Atkins trade, which is already, by the way, netted them Sonia Citron, who, along with Paige Beckers, is currently the favorite for Rookie of the Year. So, Anthony, this is a monster opportunity for this Mystics team to face a good Indiana team that still has a lot of talent despite all of the injuries and is looking to bounce back after what was a very frustrating game against New York over the weekend where they missed 1,052 layups.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Chris. I don't like playing teams that has like all these players that they sign, off the street. I saw that the Fever signed Erin McDonald. She's the player from Arizona. I remember her from the NCAA tournament. So I know she can score. But teams like this sort of kind of scare me because, again, they don't have a lot to, lose necessarily. They know they're shorthanded. We're still going to get Aaliyah Boston. We're still going to get some of their better players, DeWanna Bonner, who probably will step up. And when she's been given the opportunity, she has stepped up for them this season. But they still have talented players over there. So this isn't a game where I'm, overlooking the talent that they have over there, even if they are depleted with injuries. So I'm expecting, the Mystics to go out there and do what they do. Again, we're still trying to build the continuity because, again, we're finally healthy. So once, Coach Johnson has, I guess, a feel of who can play with who and things of that nature, things will start to build. So I think this can be a game you build on and see what lineups work best with one another.
Yeah, I'm curious if they'll start tweaking some of the lineups. They've now been healthy for a couple of games. Players are starting to get their minutes loads back. Do we see a Shakira Austin in the starting lineup? Do we see an Aaliyah Edwards in the starting lineup? We have not yet, although it should be coming any minute now, have the starting lineups for tonight. But they've been starting, obviously, Kiki Iriafin and Stephanie Dolson. But I think in some ways, it is as simple as just they're creating good shots. They're playing at a good pace. They're doing a lot of stuff that they want. They got to convert. You have to execute. And in the game against New York the other night, Shots inside 5 feet, Anthony. Shots inside 5 feet. Kiki Iriafin, 4 of 9. Slim was 3 of 5, so she was fine. Shakira Austin, 0 of 4. Aaliyah Edwards, 0 of 3. So that is, for 2 of your best players, you're looking at 0 of 7 inside 5 feet. In a game you lost by like 18 points, I want to say.
It was closer, though.
It was close until
was.
At the very end, it very much wasn't.
Yeah.
So they've got to find ways, and if you extend that out to, inside 10 feet, add another 4 misses for Iriafin, add 5 misses in for Sykes. Citron missed 3 in that 5 to 9 range as well. So some of these floaters and things, or some of your face-up jumpers, like shots inside 10 feet, if you're going to take them, you got to hit them. Like, those are inefficient shots if you're not making them, obviously. No shot's efficient if you're making it. But, like, you're trying to get layups. You're trying to get threes. And if you're going to take something in between, it's because it's such a good value. You're so open. You're so in rhythm. It's such a good quality shot that it's worth taking. Like, that's analytics basketball broken down in its oversimplified, most simplistic form. And the Mystics just absolutely could not get shots. Now, part of that is New York is the best team in the league by a mile statistically so far this year. They're winning on an average of 20 points per game. Like, they're killing everybody. Now, day in, day out, are the Lynx better? That's a separate conversation and what Minnesota's doing. But it does really come down to, okay, if we say, Kiki was 44%, Shakira and Aaliyah 0% on those types of shots, if I widen the window out here to get the entire season shooting numbers as opposed to just that one game, Aaliyah's only shooting 30% from inside 5 feet. Shakira only shooting 43% from inside 5 feet. So they've got to continue to grow in that area. Kiki is shooting 62%. So you could see how off she was on that particular day. So hopefully these are things that are going to get fixed, or just happen. New York's long, Jonquel Jones, Stewie in there, doing what they do. So hopefully these are things that are just temporary issues. And coming up in about 18 minutes tonight, we will get more in terms of production from those bigs. And Mystics will be back to scoring 90 and hopefully find themselves back in the win column and preparing for a really tough matchup with the aforementioned New York Liberty on Thursday. When we get back, first we'll have a look at what's trending. And then when we get back, real things, real people said, and real microphones to wrap up this year edition of the Hoffman Show. the Hoffman Show. Wrap it up here on the Team 980. Always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We're on YouTube, too, at the Team 980. Heck of a show today. David Aldridge on at 5 o'clock. He was fantastic on the Knicks stuff, on the finals, and had some heartfelt words about the end of Turner's run with the NBA on TNT, of which David was a part of for 14 years. We also had TJ Oshie on the show today, new film coach, coming out about the relationship between him and his dad. The film's directors joined in on the interview as well. All that'll be up on our YouTube page at the Team 980. And, of course, in the podcast feed. In fact, all of that was just hour 2, which, Anthony, is up in the feed right now. If people search The Hoffman Show in their favorite podcast app.
You know it is.
Hey. All right, tomorrow on the show, what do we got? We got pick 6 and a recap of Commanders OTAs. I'll pick a beat reporter. We're gonna play Duck Duck Goose, and the loser has to come on the show. What's the funniest way we could pick who had to come on the show from the beat tomorrow to talk about OTAs? Like we could do a running race, but that's not very original. Duck Duck Goose would be pretty funny.
I'm thinking really hard. I was really thinking about a trick question.
Like a mind bender.
Yeah.
And they have to answer a question, and whoever gets it wrong has to come on the show. Actually, I'd want whoever gets it right has to come on the show.
Yeah.
What the most dangerous thing would be Red Rover. You just send whoever right over, and someone's just getting clotheslined. That'd be pretty funny.
That would be a little scary.
Yeah, that would probably end poorly. Probably not be good. So if you have any other suggestions, or you just want to tell us who you want to hear from tomorrow on the show, send us a note. Instagram, Hoffman.sports, etc. All right, it is now time to wrap up this show with Real Things Real People Said into real microphones.
Real things.
We're not going to be sucked this year.
Real people.
5 and 11. Not very good.
Said into real microphones.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
All right, let's start off with... I love the behind-the-scenes stuff when we get mic'd up content and the stuff that comes out, say, after the NFL draft. We apparently almost had a trade between the Rams and the Carolina Panthers. Rams trying to go up from 26 to 8. Not sure who they were after, but their GM, the Panthers GM, actually was kind of not in favor of making the trade, and they ultimately didn't because they really wanted Ted McMillan, who they ultimately took. But it was a tense few minutes on the clock as captured in this behind-the-scenes footage the Panthers put out on YouTube.
Some trade discussions going on at the time, but I was kind of hoping that the trade would fall through because I really wanted to take T-Mac.
O-line or tight end at 7, so our guys don't deal.
Let's just hold off and see if the Rams call.
Yeah.
I'm wired, and you guys can see it on the blueprint video. Like, I want to trade up, I want to trade
This
down.
is the Panthers assistant general manager talking about he just wants some action.
To trade our pick. We had action.
It's kind of big for us. No pressure, though. It's fine. I'm fine.
So the Rams wanted to come up, and when you're coming up from that far, or you're moving that far back, the compensation becomes a lot trickier.
Yeah.
Do you know what you want to do?
I do.
So at this point, the Rams had talked earlier, offered one trade. The Rams and Panthers said, like, hey, this is what it will take to get done on the Panthers side of it. And then the Rams call back with a different trade.
So it's 8. We're on the clock, and the Rams are asking, hey, do you guys want to do this trade?
All right, let me click it. All right, what did they say on their side?
We had a little bit of trade stuff going on that we were kind of working through. You know, they would have had to give us the moon for us to trade out of that spot.
It's still not the same deal we talked about. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was no different than free agency or even doing an extension. Like, I'm just following a script and a plan.
I love that there's Dan Morgan, their GM, who's a former NFL linebacker, and then the assistant GM is like, I'm a nerd. Did the spreadsheet work? Because that's how good front offices work.
Yeah. Okay. Either they do it or we're just going to call it.
Okay. We will do the thing that Dan had proposed. Okay, cool. All right, they're talking about Like, I could feel my heart pounding. Eric leaned over to me and he was like, this is like a multi-million-dollar decision for us. I'm like, okay, great, thank you.
There's 2 minutes left. You know, I remember looking up at the clock when he didn't get picked at 7 and he was there, like, it was like, boom.
We already knew what we were going to do. It was just a question of, was it going to happen?
Hey. Okay, cool. All right, bye. They're out.
All right, see you, man.
Let's go.
And the room erupts because they just what? I feel like they should have taken T-Mac. They should have just gone tap McMillan in the first place.
I mean, what if they give you an offer you can't refuse?
I guess that's what they were holding out for.
Yeah.
Here's my question: who are the Rams coming up for? Do you think they wanted T-Mac?
Nah, they got Devontae and Puka.
That's what I think. I think the guy they wanted was Loveland.
Tight end.
Yeah, who went 10 to the Bears.
Yeah.
Because looking down, I mean, they ultimately traded out after Dart went at 25, and then they traded with Atlanta for Pierce at 26.
Where did the other tight end go?
Tyler Warren went 14 to
the Colts. Yeah, I'm tripping.
As you sit there in your Zaire Franklin Pro Bowl games, Indianapolis Colts shirt. Really excellent work out of you. Here, I wonder if they wanted either Loveland, or do you think after Cam goes 1, the Saints are on the clock at 9, potentially as QB. Do you think they wanted Dart? And they were going to take Dart at 8?
No way. No chance. You could have traded. There were teams in the teens.
But they didn't know that at the time. They didn't know that. They didn't know if the Saints were just going to take Dart at 9.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Right? And then they trade out of the first round after Dart goes 25. Clearly, the Giants thought that the Rams wanted Dart. So, I don't know. We'll see. All right, that's our show. We will see you tomorrow with a full recap of Commanders OTAs here on The Hoffman Show.